So I am going to get into the macro issues of policy matters and India's neighborhood and all in the second half of the podcast.
Okay.
The first half is basically a curation of all that I've been seeing on the comments section where people said, "Please ask Dr. Jaishankar this." So the question which most people had was that how did the transition take place from being a bureaucrat, a career diplomat, to becoming a politician, joining Mr. Modi's cabinet?
Mhm.
How did you make that transition? What tools did you employ?
Well, I didn't make the transition. It happened. I mean, uh, it happened because, as you know, I come from a bureaucratic family. Uh, we don't have anybody remotely in the family who's entered politics in any party at any time. It had not crossed my mind. I don't think it had crossed the mind of anybody else in my circle. And then, uh, lo and behold, what happened in May of 2019 happened. Now, once I entered, I must say, in all honesty, I myself was very unsure. I mean, I had watched politicians all my life.
Hmm.
You know, one of the things you get to do in the Foreign Service, by the way, is you actually, perhaps much more than other services, you see politicians up close because you see them abroad. You're kind of working with them closely. You're counseling them. So it's one thing to watch, uh, but to actually join politics, to become a cabinet member, to stand for Rajya Sabha, because when I was selected, I was not even a member of parliament. So each of this kind of happened one by one. I slid into it sometimes without knowing it. You learnt by watching others. That's something, you know, we say sometimes you go to any foreign environment, you kind of you pick up by. So for me, this wasn't a foreign environment, but it was a different environment. So, you looked at others, more senior people, more experienced people in the cabinet, in the party, in other parties. I mean, I even today, just say, watch me in parliament. I do follow a lot. I look very carefully at what people are doing, both in my own party and other parties. I think there's a lot to learn from everybody. So you get into it step by step. Sometimes you surprise yourself. There is a learning curve. I'd be honest with you out there. There are times when you are a bit hesitant or a bit even nervous. But then, you do it once, you do it twice, you slowly grow over it. So, to stand up there, to reason with people, to make a speech, even sometimes, because in bureaucracy, until really the Prime Minister, that is 2014, Prime Minister Modi's comment, mostly people were used to speaking in English. So there was a language bit, there was a subject bit, there was a environment bit. There's a different culture also.
But as your skills as a diplomat, I guess it would have equipped you to win friends over easily, isn't it?
I don't think it's so much a question of winning friends. I mean, yes, it does help when you're a diplomat. You in a sense are almost trained, I would say, to get along, to get the most out of situations. Some of it is also different people are made different ways. I mean, you would see I very rarely get into anything personal with people, even when I'm provoked at times. I think people are just made different ways. But I would say this. I mean, it's now it will be 4 years this summer. It's been a very, very interesting 4 years. I'm happy to talk with you later on about it. But when I look at these 4 years, for me, actually, it's been 4 years of very intense learning. Going to a state which I had really very little knowledge of. I'd been a few
Gujarat.
times
Yeah.
Gujarat. Then having a particular area as an MP, you work on a village or in a particular constituency. So all of these were learnings, and I find it very interesting. I find every day is a new day. I'm, as you can see, quite enthusiastic about it.
Yeah. You know, when Mr. Modi picked you to be part of his cabinet and such an important portfolio, everybody thought that, you know, you'd be like a technocrat or somebody, like, you know, you bring domain expertise and you'll kind of restrict your karma into that region. But then one saw, you know, you evolved. You became like any BJP karyakarta, like any BJP worker. You're part of the party. You take the party line. You go to all states, not just Gujarat. You're going to Karnataka. You go to Tamil Nadu. I've seen you going everywhere. And speaking about the party, it's become part of your the political part has also become part of your making now.
Well, for me, it's interesting. That's how it seems to you. But look, this government, this cabinet is very much a team cabinet. Okay. So you don't do your own thing out here. You know, you may have a background, you may come from a stream, but this very idea that, you know, you will do your domain, as you say, be a technocrat, I don't think it gels with what is this cabinet. Secondly, when I was selected as a minister, I was not a member of parliament. I was not a member of a political party either. I had the choice of whether I would join a political party or not. There was no compulsion on it. Nobody brought up that subject. It was something which was left to me. I joined because one, when you are joining a team, you join it wholeheartedly. That is where you give your best performance and where you get the best support. And secondly, I really reflected on what is the meaning of actually joining a political party. It's not a decision I took lightly. And as someone who's studied and analyzed politics all their life, it was something for me of great importance. So I joined because I genuinely believe today that this is a party which captures the sentiments and interests and aspirations of India the best. And I get into other issues because, again, one of the differences, moving from bureaucracy, from a department or a service into politics, you learn so much more when you're a member of the cabinet. Your exposure. Every cabinet meeting, there are, let's say, 10 items. It could be on agriculture, could be on infrastructure, but you get a cabinet note. You read the note. You are interested. You will study a little bit more. So you actually your interest broaden, and if your interest broaden, when you go out there and speak to people, it'll show up.
Is there any difference in how Dr. Jaishankar, the diplomat, thought and operated, and how Dr. Jaishankar, the external affairs minister, politician, BJP worker, thinks and operates?
See, in a way, it's like different lives, Now, you got to understand the challenge that it was for me personally, because I'm from a bureaucratic family. My father was a bureaucrat. I have an elder brother who was a bureaucrat. My grandfather was a bureaucrat, and we have aunts and not aunts but uncles who were there. So our world, if I can put it to you this way, was very, very bureaucratic. Our goals, our dreams were bureaucratic.
What do you mean by that?
Meaning, if you had asked me, if you and I had met, which we had, let us say in 2010, and say, okay, Jaishankar, what's your dream? I'd say, I want to become foreign secretary. That's the dream of any foreign service officer. In our house, it was also particularly, it was something we put.
No, you never said that.
No, because you never asked me.
It was in 1993, I think, that I first met you.
Hang on. You never asked me that bluntly, but had you asked me that, look, it's a reasonable dream to have. I mean, after all, when you, if you start a business or you do something, you want to be the best in it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
Sure.
So, fine. I wanted to be the best foreign service officer. And to my mind, the definition of the best that you could do was to end up as a foreign secretary. Now, in our household, there was also, I would say, I won't call it pressure, but we were all very, very conscious of the fact that my father, who was a bureaucrat, had become a secretary, but he was removed from his secretaryship. He became, at that time, probably the youngest secretary in the Janta government in 1979.
For viewers and listeners who don't know, Dr. Jaishankar's father was Dr. K. Subramaniam, who played a key role in formulating India's strategic doctrine. Sorry for interrupting you.
So in 1980, he was Secretary Defense Production. In 1980, when Indira Gandhi was re-elected, he was the first secretary that she removed. And, he was the most knowledgeable person, everybody would say, on defense. He was also a very upright person. Maybe that caused a problem, I don't know. But the fact was, as a person, he saw his own bureaucratic career in bureaucracy actually kind of stall. And after that, he never became a secretary again. He was superseded during the Rajiv Gandhi period for his, somebody junior to him became cabinet secretary. So it was something he felt. We rarely spoke about it, but it was obviously something which must have been inside him. So he was very, very proud when my elder brother became secretary. In my case, he passed away in 2011. At that time, I had got what you would call grade 1, which is like a secretary rank ambassador. I didn't become secretary. I became after he passed away. But for us, at that time, the goal, you could say, was, okay, we must become secretary. Now, as I said, I had achieved that goal. So in 2018, I was very happy to kind of walk away into the sunset. I ended up finally walking not into the sunset, but into Tata Sons. I was, I think, contributing my fair bit there. I liked them. I think they liked me. Then completely as a bolt out of blue, the political opportunity came. Now, the political opportunity for me was something I needed to think about, because I was simply not prepared for it. So I did reflect on it briefly due to the pressures of time at that time. When you say what is the difference between the foreign secretary or the bureaucrat Jaishankar and the minister,
thought process,
it's a different world. It's a different responsibility. It's a wider vision. And I put it to people like this. I may have sat 40 years in the parliament gallery. It's not the same as being on the parliament floor. I used to sometimes, in fact, Sushma Swaraj was my minister, and as foreign secretary, we used to talk a lot. I mean, we had this practice. We used to have long. I mean, I'd go and see her every day, but of course, day would begin by her actually calling every morning. And I always had the comfort as a secretary. And if I don't want this to sound immodest, I was a confident secretary. I believe I was a good secretary. But I had the confidence that I have a minister and a prime minister above me who at the end of the day shoulder that political responsibility. Now, come May 2019, that political responsibility is mine. It's a completely different feeling. As a minister, you have to look at it not departmentally. There may be something, let us say, which is, I'm giving you an example. Say wheat export to some country. As a secretary, I would say, that country's relationship is very important. But as a minister, I'll have to say, okay, what's my own wheat prices looking like? What are the domestic concerns out there? Who else do we need to talk to? Every issue, every major issue has some political angle, which a minister will tend to see much faster than a bureaucrat, however good that bureaucrat may be.
So it's kind of challenging?
Yes, absolutely.
It is. Okay. So